My body shook from the inside out as I entered the hall at midnight to await my fate. It was a cold and chilly evening, and the warmth from my small crowd of supporters was welcome. In fact, that evening, I had worn a heavy coat because I was afraid someone would hear my heart pounding. And it's true, with every announcement of the results, my heart literally stopped. I thought of how food and sleep had become luxuries for the last few months of campaigning. And I prayed that with all the effort that I had put into this campaign, taking a semester, 2 semesters from school, because I believed this is where I needed all my energy, that it would pay off. I thought of my dad, who from the beginning was uncomfortable with the idea of a young woman, his only daughter, vying for political seat. And I could tell that he, just like my uncles and his friends, he believed that this was not a space for women. Political arena was certainly not a space for women. He'd ask me questions like, so Bina, do you know any young women at the age of 23 who've won a political seat and who've gone ahead to lead a successful political career? And because I didn't have an answer then, I'll just shrug off the question. I thought of my mom, who thought it was quite disrespectful for a young woman to choose politics as a career option because she wanted me to be a journalist. I thought of my grandmother. I love my grandmother, but she thought I'd blown up my chances at getting married, you know? And she was like, but Bina, women who engage in politics are unattractive to good, godly men. And I'd blown up my chances. But then I thought of a guy I had a crush on, but who had become too busy to show up on our dates. But on this very evening, I worried whether he'd met someone else. I got into politics because 61% of women in my community run grocery shops and wash other people's outfits. 42% of young men and women in my community, I was tired of reading hopelessness in their faces each and every other morning as I went to work. 23% of young women, young girls in my community, drop out of school every year because of early pregnancy. And I worried that if they didn't learn all they need to learn or go back to school to get the skills that they need to have, they might never be able to lift themselves out of poverty. I recalled one morning I went to campaign and talked to a group of older men. We call it a chama. A chama is a Swahili word in Kenya. So it was a chama for older men. And this man asked me, so Bina, a family is the smallest unit in a community. And you don't have a family. And we judge a leader by how well they're able to run their family. How sure are we that you're going to lead as well, because we're going to be your bigger family? And for a moment, the room fell silent, and I didn't know what to say. But then I thought about an evening when I was leaving a crowd, and someone tried to pull down my skirt, and for a moment, I could not believe that no one could even say anything about it. And when I went to report about it, all they said it is a normal thing. It is a normal thing in politics. So by now, they had announced results from all the 6 polling stations, and I was not leading in any of them. I was number 3 out of 12. I was hurt. I could not believe the community could not see how sincere I was. I could not believe I was betrayed. I wondered, all those people were supporting me. What happened? The numbers were not adding up as much as the margin was very small. And for the next 1 month, tears became my food. There are moments I would look at myself at the mirror and wonder whether that was me. My haunted eyes, the dark circles around my eyes, and at times I had like to wave to know, oh, Bina, that's actually you. And this was a situation for a whole month. And it was that time of the month that I had to go meet my mentor. And I literally had to drag myself out of the house to go and meet him. And he knew better not to ask me about my experience. But then, as we sat down, he asked me, Bina, was this the only way you could have achieved your plans? You don't think there are other individuals out there who are doing amazing work and they don't have a political office? And there, a light bulb went on in my mind. And that's the day Badili Africa was born, an initiative that empowers young people to be active participants in matters democracy and governance. So Badili Africa aims to change young women's perspective about politics. And recently, I began Glam Up Sundays. And what Glam Up Sunday is, I realized during my campaigns that very few young women between the ages of 18 and 27 years old actually engage in politics. I could rarely see them in rallies. And even when you look at the social media, you rarely see young women between those ages actually even following politicians and tweeting about political issue or even blogging about political issue. So what Glam Up Sunday does is to fuse makeup artistry and the beauty of learning politics. So we use this platform to talk to young women about what they are interested in, to introduce what they are less interested in. And we ask questions like, so as we are doing, yes, to introduce what they're less interested in. So when you come up to my forum, when you come to my forum, you actually get a free makeover. So, yeah, so you're all welcome to my forum. I can see some of you, smiling already. So that's what we do. So as we do your makeup, we ask you questions like, so are you a registered voter? In what ways are you participating in politics? Are you going to vote? Why not? And we talk about the history of women who've gone before us, women who fought for the privileges that we now enjoy. Because if you can change one person's understanding of how powerful an agent of change they can be, how their skills, how their knowledge can transform their community, how their knowledge can transform their neighbors, then I think we'll have changed the whole thing. Because in a democracy, my friends, the most powerful office, the most important office is not the office of the president. It's not the office of the governor. It's not the office of the member of county assembly. It's not the office of the senator or the women representative. The most important and powerful office is the office of the citizen. Thank you very much.